Hello, I'm Amara Jones, and today is Monday, March 30th. This is caffeineTV, your daily news brief, here to take you through 3 headline numbers in just 3 minutes, giving you a different take on everything from housing policy to the Real Housewives. The first number of today is 200, according to the New York Times. That's the number of German investigators trying to figure out why 27-year-old Andreas Lubitz hijacked his own plane, GermanWings Flight 9525, and crashed it at maximum speed into the French Alps, obliterating everyone on board, killing 150 people. Now, there's several operational theories as to why that might have happened. The first is that he was being treated for depression, and even though he was on medication for it, his doctor was going to rule him unfit to fly. According to CNN today, he had been treated for suicidal thoughts and tendencies before becoming a pilot. The next is that he was slowly going blind, having lost up to 30% of his vision, and was going to be ruled unfit to fly because of that. And the last is that he was overwhelmed at the thought of his girlfriend being pregnant and had had a breakdown around that. Apparently, he shouted to her after a fight that, quote, "Everyone will soon know my name," close quote. But there are two really important takeaways from all of this. The first is that mental illness is real and has to be taken seriously and can kill just like any other disease. And the last is that the world has to do a better job of tracking these planes as they travel around the globe. Remember all that talk after 9/11 about being able to follow planes? Well, this one descended from 30,000 feet to 90 feet without a word from the air traffic control. And of course, there's still the case of that missing Malaysian flight which disappeared over the sea. So in all, maybe Apple, instead of making an iWatch, will need to make an iPlane. The next number today is 40, as in $40 million. That's the size of an investment into Indiana, canceled by the website Angie's List, given that state's new religious freedom law signed into law by Governor Mike Pence last week, which allows gays and lesbians to be discriminated against by businesses on religious grounds. Now, what's interesting is that Indiana touts itself as one of the most business-friendly states in the union, but Angie's List is only but one of a growing list of businesses who are forming a backlash against the law, including Salesforce.com and Apple and the NBA and the WNBA. There are sure to be others. But one of the questions in all of this is why Mike Pence would have signed this law in the first place. Most recently, hardline and social conservative Governor Jan Brewer of Arizona recently vetoed a similar law that was passed in that state, and you know that if she vetoed it, you don't have any reason or business signing it. But there's also a larger question in all of this, is why there's a backlash now against this law. 19 other states have a similar law on the books, and not much of a public outcry was made then. But according to the Washington Post, the reason why is that those laws were mostly passed before the public switched on its opinions on gay marriage and gays and lesbians, now backed solidly by most Americans. And just goes to show you that you never want to be caught on the wrong side of history. The last number today is 450. That's the number of airports across the country that are secured by the TSA. The TSA recently announced, though, that it will no longer search black women, well, for just having hair. The announcement was made in response to a complaint filed by Novella Coleman of the ACLU and Malika Singleton, a neurosurgeon, both of whom had their hair searched for weapons before boarding a flight. But they're not the only ones to have done so. Some of the most famous cases include Gabrielle Union and Solange Knowles, but also include yours truly. A couple of years ago, after having been searched at LAX in a similar way, I penned an op-ed for The Guardian where I labeled the practice natural hair Patdowns. And for me, it was always about controlling and searching black bodies than it was the fact that our hair could contain 9mm or bombs. But I'm just glad that it'll stop and that the government will no longer view my hair as a weapon of mass destruction.